And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Curtis Riggs Show. And coming up on the show, we'll be talking to the head coach of the Storm, Curtis Riggs. We'll be talking to him about the games in the IFL. And then during our second segment with the coach, we'll be having kind of a fast question and answer segment about coaching and other football stuff. Also on the show, we'll be running back Marquise Rogers. And the show will be a little bit shorter tonight because of Canaries baseball starting at 6:55. And Carter Wooddeal will be having the play-by-play for you this season for the Sioux Falls Canaries. Now, this week, the Sioux Falls Storm face the Green Bay Blizzard. That game is on Friday, June 1st, in Green Bay, and we'll talk to the coach about that. And you can hear that ball game on our sister station, Kella News Talk, 1320 and FM 107.9. Pregame show starts at 6:45. But you're listening to the Curtis Riggs Show, presented each week by the official Storm sports medicine providers, Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital, the Storm official healthcare team, and the only 5-star rated hospital in Sioux Falls, and also by Orthopedic Institute, the one to trust. Coming up next, the head coach of the Storm, Curtis Riggs. We'll be back right after this.
So you need to see.
The biggest difference in Boyer and other truck dealerships is the fact that we're an employee-owned company. From the front of the building with the sales to the back of the building with service and parts, you're dealing with the owner of the company. We have the smallest vehicles all the way up to the biggest vehicles. We're a truck dealer by heart, and by design, we deal in the whole gamut of the vehicles. There's not a lot of dealers that do that. But this is a relationship business, and I enjoy the relationships a lot.
You're listening to the Curtis Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Rosti.
And welcome back to the Curtis Riggs Show. And our opening interview with the Storm head coach, Curtis Riggs, is brought to you by the great folks over at Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. Storm sponsors since day one, Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. Come see what fresh really is. They deliver anywhere in town. Their subs are just better. He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Curtis Riggs. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm good. How are you, Rich?
Have a good Memorial weekend off?
I did, yeah. We're preparing for a graduation celebration in our household, so there was plenty to do.
Well, chances are you're going to have to mow the lawn at least once or twice before then.
Yeah, I would say so. I slipped up by waiting too long to get to it the first time, but I've tried to keep up since.
Well, I tell you what, exciting time to have son Peyton graduate from high school. That doesn't seem possible that he's 18 years old, because when I first met you, you had no children. And then to watch him grow up, and with Afton, I think that's just really kind of neat for us, for me, that to be able to watch him do that, and now for him to graduate. Congratulations. Well,
thank you. Yeah, it's pretty special for us, and He's done a nice job, and I think he'll have a bright future.
Well, Coach, let's talk a little bit about the couple of games that went on during the last weekend. The first of all was the Iowa Barnstormers defeated the Green Bay Blizzard 41-14. Not really surprised about that outcome at all, but it just shows that Iowa's playing very good football right now, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I mean, you're spot on with that one. They're playing some very good football, and Drew Powell is playing really at another level. You know, I think it's been really a two-man race, in my opinion, for the MVP of the league between Monroe and Drew. But I think, you know, with Monroe being hurt, Drew has really started to pull away, because he's just carried them, you know, in our game, in the Arizona game, and even in the Green Bay game. You know, they would get him in third down, but they just had no answer for him on third down.
And the Sioux Falls Storm will be playing the Iowa Barnstormers a week from Friday here at home. And later on the broadcast, we'll have the 4-ticket giveaway sponsored by Lewis Pharmacies for that ball game. The other game that went on this weekend was a real surprise to me, as it was Arizona 45, Nebraska 40. Nebraska actually led 4 times during that game. What has changed besides the head coaching position at Nebraska to get them to play at that level against Arizona?
Well, the one thing Arizona struggled with was stopping Hankerson from running. The first half, he just ran all over them, and they had Nebraska outnumbered. I mean, scheme wise, they were very good. It's just Hankerson is so quick. He was able to make the linebacker miss and run for a touchdown, or break contain and get a big run, and so he did just enough to match them score for score in that first half. And Arizona, they got an onside kick to get an extra possession. And then defensively, second half, they did a much better job containing him, and they were just able to methodically pull away.
And the final score again, Arizona 45, Nebraska 40. And for the year, Arizona 5 of 9 on onside kicks. Coach Guy's not afraid to pull the trigger on that one, is he?
No, he's not. I mean, they really do a nice job with it. I mean, even if you know it's coming, it's still tough. They just do a nice job. They time it very well, too, because usually when you do that little dribbler kick that most people call it, it'll bounce off a guy, or they'll hit guys before the ball gets a certain distance, and you can tell they practice quite a bit.
So the standings right now in the IFL, Arizona Rattlers 10-2, followed by Iowa, they're 9-2, Storm 8-3, Nebraska 4-7, Green Bay 2-9, Cedar Rapids 1-10. This week, Sioux Falls is at Green Bay, Arizona is at Iowa, and Nebraska is at Cedar Rapids. All of those are could be very interesting games, each and every one of them, couldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, very easily. Without a doubt, I think, any of the games. I mean, you could see someone win. I think everyone has shown that they're capable of beating someone. But, I think everyone will be watching the Iowa-Arizona game. How will Arizona handle now losing twice to Iowa and now having to go to Iowa to play them.
And that ball game is on Saturday, as is the Nebraska at Cedar Rapids. The Storm playing on Friday night up at Green Bay. And we'll be playing Green Bay again, the last game of the regular season here in Sioux Falls, sandwiched around playing Iowa on June 8th. So when we come back, Coach, what we're going to do is something a little bit different. We're not going to have a game to recap because the Storm had a bye this past weekend, but I'm going to have kind of a rapid-fire question and answer period with you about football in general, and you'll be able to answer them directly, shortly, or expound them, whatever you want to do. And I'm going to see if I can stump you, but I probably can't. How about that?
Well, I think the odds are in your favor, Rich.
Okay. Well, Coach, hang on. We'll be back to you in just a minute. You're listening to this first segment brought to you by Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. Come see what fresh really is. They deliver anywhere in Sioux Falls, and their subs are just breader. We'll be back right after this.
If you like to bowl, roll on into Eastway Bowl. Hey, wait a minute. Eastway Bowl is more than just bowling. It's a full of fun entertainment center. There's many things to do. Games, and more games, plus food. Great food. Come into our full-service sports bar and grill where you'll find terrific drinks with our popular late-night specials. Watch all your favorite sporting events at Eastway. Visit our website to make your bowling reservations and find out more about the full fun experience. Eastway Bowl and Entertainment Center, where there's something for everyone.
You're listening to the Curtis Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Rosti.
And welcome back to the Curtis Riggs Show. In this segment brought to you by Eastway Bowl, the perfect spot for family fun. Eastway Sports Lounge, the official Storm Road Game Viewing Party host for all Storm fans. And the next Storm away game viewing party is Friday, June 1st, as the Storm will be traveling to Green Bay to take on the Blizzard. Joining us, he is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm. And Coach, like I mentioned earlier, because there's no game to talk about, Storm had a bye this past week. We'll just fire some questions. Again, you can answer them just directly, short answer, or you can expound them, whatever you want to do. And I have quite a few questions, and we'll try to get through them during this segment. You ready?
All right. I'm in.
Okay, what's more desirable in a player, fundamentally sound or true athleticism?
Fundamentally sound.
Which is worse in a player, an error of omission or an error of commission? Omission being that he doesn't do what he's supposed to do, and a commission that he does something wrong.
I think this is a tough one, Rich. Could go either way. I would say omission.
Okay. Now, do you learn more about your team from winning or losing?
I think losing really shows character in so many different ways. I think winning a lot of times can be very easy, but the losing, it will show the professionalism. It'll show who the team players are. It'll show who is going to be motivated and know they need to work harder. I think there's more to learn from the losing.
Which is better for a ball club, a star player or a team player?
Oh, a team player.
Okay. When you review a loss and you rate the team, how often is the loss attributed to being outmatched versus being outplayed?
That's a good question. Not very often.
Okay.
I don't know if we've ever lost where I felt like, man, we were just totally outmatched. I think the only time was when we lost to the Lexington Horsemen in the championship game.
Yeah,
and
was here.
And they suited the 5 defensive linemen,
Yes.
and they just wore us down. I mean, they just wore us down, and we really had no answer. We just couldn't match their athleticism that they had on offense with what they were doing to us defensively. And that's one where I felt definitely like they won the battle and got after us. And what we have right now, I don't think is good enough to compete with that.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of changed your thinking about carrying 4 offensive linemen at times, didn't it?
It did, yeah. Or more so, carrying defensive line. Let's make sure we have guys. Let's follow that same what they were doing. Let's get after people up front and really win the game in the second half.
Can one player make such a difference on a team to create a win or cause a loss?
Yeah, for sure, both ways.
Okay.
I mean, yes, one player, Chris Dixon could instantly make a team to where you could win. With average players could make a team great.
Uh-huh.
And, we had great players around him, so we had a great team. But you put a Dusty Lavorka with a Chris Dixon, and now Dusty's an all-elite player.
Uh-huh.
Whereas with others, he's a good player. So I think that definitely stands out. But likewise, in the other regard, we've had guys, too, that are star players but are pure poison on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And, they might make big plays, but what they're doing behind the scenes is much more hurtful than the rewards that we're getting out of those big plays.
What happens faster, an attitude of winning or an attitude of losing?
Oh, yeah. The problem we have here, Rich, is everyone comes in with the expectation or that winning is just going to happen.
Uh-huh.
So I would say the attitude of winning, it just, when people come to the Storm, that they already have it by joining us.
Mm-hmm.
And what we have to do is prove to them that it's with that attitude is a lot of work, and that's what's the biggest challenge for our coaching staff.
When would you not defer to the second half after winning the coin toss?
Oof. When would I think about the only time would be if we were playing a team that had a very explosive offense, and we felt like we just had to put the pressure on them. That's probably the only time. I just feel like things can happen in the first half that you can overcome, and it just always is, knowing that you have the ball the third quarter, there's a lot of chess match play that goes in to the end of the first half. So we always feel more comfortable with that.
When you stand on the field as a coach during a play, have you ever laughed from a heckle that's been directed at you?
Oh, you bet. Yeah. I mean, rarely do I acknowledge, there's been the times where, in Cedar Rapids, there was 8 fans at the game, but the one guy was right on the wall. And when you would stand at we have to be touching the wall, the coaches.
Uh-huh.
And I have this fan hanging over the wall, just screaming in my ear as loud as he can. And that's his sole purpose, is just to yell in my ear. and it was so obnoxious. And yeah, I just thought, what are you doing? I mean, the guy's daughter's sitting right there.
Oh, no.
And I did turn and look, and I didn't want to give anything away that, man, this is really bothering me. But there's been so many comments that Herm and I get thrown at us, and even at our place, even at ours. And some, you just can't help but, like if we get tackled for a 3-yard loss, well, that's a great call for Cedar Rapids, coach. Nice job. Ones like that, you're just kind of like, yeah, I was thinking the same thing, And I mean, our fans understand, and they know, and they'll let you know about it.
What's more difficult to execute, a Hail Mary or an onside kick?
Well, it depends on your personnel. I mean, if you have a Caleb Hawley, a Hail Mary, I mean, that's, you always got a chance, with a guy like that. And then same with, the onside kick. Parker Douglas was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And I think there's certain guys, you remember, Rich, when we went to play Billings, and they would onside kick every time. Because they had a guy that he couldn't make a field goal, but man, could he onside kick.
3 in a row, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think Homeland he got waylaid the entire game trying to recover onside kicks. So I think the personnel really decides it. But, I think the law of averages, I think the Hail Mary in their indoor game, because sometimes it's really not even that. I mean, if you run a good play and you can protect, you got a chance.
How long does it take to formulate a game plan?
It takes all week. I mean, that's for sure. You get your base, you go through practice, and hopefully if it's going okay, you change and manipulate a few things, or if it's just a terrible practice, you throw it away and start from scratch. And then you do the same with your next practice, and hopefully you're not throwing it away, because that's happened too, where I'm just like, oh my gosh, and I find that sometimes when you watch teams and you come up with plays, you forget that these aren't really plays that are good for us. I mean, they look good on paper, but they don't fit our personnel, and you got to be careful of that.
Yes or no? Can you overthink a game plan?
Yes.
Okay. No. What's better in a player, football IQ or quick ability to act or react?
During the season, it's football IQ, because we need guys that can come in and pick it up quickly. And meaning they can, with a good football IQ, they understand what the defense is trying to do. They understand what we're trying to do. I think that one goes much further than the other one.
Okay. Have you ever questioned a referee about a call, and he gave you such a good explanation that you changed your mind about the call?
Unfortunately, I rarely give them a chance to speak. But I have heard some really good ones to where I was stumped. I think the guy in Green Bay, he
Jim
does
Schaefer,
a great job. Yeah, he's the one guy that he'll come over and I'm hot, and he'll come at me in a way that's so unusual that I'm just like, I'm not mad at him. What am I even arguing about now?
Yeah.
Or I think Andy, the guy out of Iowa, he also has a very good temperament. But usually myself, I even tell the officials after the game, and they're like, you're a different person than what I envisioned. And I'm like, well, you can't take the game field and go off that.
What's harder, developing and teaching a grade schooler who knows nothing, or developing and teaching a college star who thinks they know everything?
What's tougher?
Yeah, what's harder for you?
College star.
Yeah.
College star, for sure. Yeah, that's an easy one, Rich.
Okay, one thing I wanted to ask you, this is probably our final question, but final drive of the game, less than 30 seconds to go. The ball's inside the 20-yard line. The defensive team is leading by 4. The offensive team has no timeouts. Defense has 3. Does the defense use their timeouts to save time for their offense if the opponent scores, or do you put your trust in your defense to stop the drive and run out the clock?
Well, being down 4, I think you got to trust your defense.
Okay.
Yeah, you got. I think if they get near the goal line, then you're gonna. The tough part though, Rich, is if we're at home back in the old arena,
yeah,
that's an easy one. There's no way we're calling timeout. That's the toughest part. There were times in the old arena, Rich, where we thought about just onside kicking every time because it's so hard to score against our defense with those zones.
Mm-hmm.
We had a defense built for that. But now that the end zones are so big, I think if they are close to scoring or the offense you're going against, then you do need to factor in, we do need to use those timeouts because we would probably have a shot at a field goal, because they're going to be up 3 after that. Let's at least give our kicker a shot.
Good answer. And it's all game situation also, what has happened in the past, what's been working, what hasn't. There's so many factors that goes into your decision making. But I brought that up just because to let people start thinking about all of the things that you're considering when you decide to do one thing or the other.
Yeah, and I think you hit it right on the head too, Rich. A lot of it is, how is the game going?
Yeah.
How is it? Are we struggling to stop, Monroe? Or then, we need to maybe take these. I think the personnel comes heavily into play too.
Coach, that was fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, great questions.
Coach, when we come back a little while later, we'll be talking about the Green Bay Blizzard, the game coming up on Friday. Interesting ball club. They've got a couple wins. We're going to be talking about what Coach Roberson has done with that ball club and what to expect from them coming up on Friday. Talk to you later.
All right. Thanks, Rich.
He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Curtis Riggs, and this recap has been brought to you by Eastway Bowl. Stop out there Friday night, June 1st. Storm viewing party. You'll have a great time. This is the Curtis Riggs Show, and you're listening to it right here on FM 98.1, AM 1230, Sports Radio, KWSN.
The Rosties wanted their new house to be unique, so they went back to Fireplace Pros. The upstairs is traditional, but the downstairs is very modern. They are delighted.
We wanted a different look and feel within our house, and Fireplace Pros, as always, helped us make it happen. They're the best.
Visit us on the web or stop by your nearest Heat & Glow or Heatilator dealer. Fireplace Pros, Heat & Glow, and Heatilator. You're going to love the way your home feels.
You're listening to the Curtis Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230, Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Rosty.
And welcome back to the Curtis Riggs Show. Going to be a little bit shorter tonight. 6:55, we'll be heading over to Canaries baseball, and Carter Wooddeal will be having the play-by-play for you all season long right here on KWSN. And this segment of the Curtis Riggs Show is brought to you by Lewis Pharmacies. Get in, get out, feel better. And after the interview, we'll take the third call at 336-1230 for free tickets to the next home game. That's Friday, June 8th, when the Storm hosts the Iowa Barnstormers. That's the last regular season game. Well, the next one's going to be Green Bay after that, but 2 more home games for the Sioux Falls Storm coming up. 4 free tickets for this one coming up on Friday, June 8th. Joining us via the fan line, a new running back with the Sioux Falls Storm, Marquise Rogers. Marquise, welcome to the Curtis Riggs Show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, tell me a little bit about yourself. I want to use this time to get acquainted with you a little bit more so the fans get to know you a little bit. Where did you grow up and where did you go to school?
Well, I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. Grew up in the Inglewood area,
Okay.
And been playing football since I was 6 years old. I had a dad that was in the NFL, and I played my college ball at Western New Mexico, a little D2 in Silver City, New Mexico. So a lot of people might not know where that's at, but that's kind of like 2 hours away from Tucson, Arizona.
Sure.
Yeah, the west side of New Mexico. And after that, I did a couple of tryouts for NFL teams and got myself into the supplemental draft. of 2017. And from there, I'm here now.
You're here now. Well, I want to
Yeah.
back up just a little bit. You said your dad played in the NFL. What years
Yes.
and who did he play with?
He played in the late 90s for the San Diego Chargers and the Saints, and did a little time with the Chiefs. His most time playing for a team was the Chargers.
Okay. And how long ago you said that was in the 90s when he played for those teams?
Yeah, late 90s.
Late 90s, okay. Well, what was it like for you as a kid growing up with a dad that was a part of the NFL and seeing people, meeting people, and doing things as far as an NFL? What was that like for you growing up as a kid?
I was kind of young, so I don't really remember everything, but all the stories and videos and pictures that I have seen, I could tell that I was kind of a happy kid, kind of almost a little spoiled, I should say. But I think it was a blessing, especially just because I was a football geek, and just because of him, and he could teach me, and he taught me all the stuff that he knows, and got me into different avenues of football. So I could say it was a blessing.
What was your dad's name?
Anthony Rogers.
Okay, very good. I was trying to formulate that in my mind, and I'm glad that you were able to clear that up for me. Now, he played what position?
He played receiver.
Receiver, okay. Now, you're a running back. Did you play that in college also?
Yeah, I played running back and did a little time with receiver as well.
So which would you rather do, catch it or carry it?
Honestly, I would rather run it, but whatever Coach Riggs put me at, I'm capable of doing, but if I had to say so, I would most definitely be a running back for sure.
Now we're talking with Marquise Rogers on the Curtis Riggs Show. First year with the Sioux Falls Storm, and you were injured for part of the season. How was that for you, working through that and then transitioning back on the ball club?
Yeah, like I was injured, and it was pretty hard at first because I didn't know what was going on as far as me playing wise and me just trying to get back in tune with the team and with the plays and stuff like that, and constantly doing rehab, trying to just get myself back on the active roster. And it was kind of hard at first, but I kept my mind straight and kept being humble, and just kept praying, and everything just turned out all right. So yeah.
I think I was at practice the night that you got hurt. Tell us how you got your injury.
Okay, so we're doing routes on air as receivers and running backs and stuff like that, and I had a 15-yard dig, and the quarterback, I believe, was Lorenzo, and he threw the ball, and it kind of was out my reach, but I tried to give all my effort and extended too much, I should say, and ran into the wall.
Yeah, it was an awful collision.
Yeah.
There's a part of the wall, then there's the part of the support beam that's sticking out, and your shoulder went right into the corner of that, and you could just hear everybody go, oh, no.
Yeah, I ran right into the support beam. At first, it was just a shock. I didn't really feel anything, but I knew I could not move my arm until I got to the training room. That's when everything started kicking up. The pain, went from a 5 to a 10 immediately, and it was pretty bad at first. And I got the X-rays a couple of days later, and it was nothing really wrong, just an AC sprain. But yeah, it was pretty bad.
But you were able to get back through rehab, and you were playing in the last ball game for the Sioux Falls Storm, and you got your first touchdown. Tell us about that.
No, that was my second touchdown. My first touchdown was when we first played the Bomb Stormers.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But I mean, Coach Riggs called up a great play, and the lineman gave me great great looks, and just getting to the hole and making the touchdown look easier than nothing. So yeah, it was pretty good. I was excited, especially first game back from injury and getting a couple of touches and getting my feet wet again.
And it always feels good when you have that first hit after an injury, and it doesn't hurt.
Yes, it really didn't hurt, and I just felt real good about it. Gained my confidence in absorbing contact and things like that. So yeah.
One thing I always have the guys fill out a form before the season, and we're talking to Marquise Rogers of the Sioux Falls Storm on the Curtis Riggs Show, and you put on there that you like to bowl and you like to cook. Tell us about those two things. Okay,
so I'm not saying I'm actually good at bowling like that, but I like to bowl. I like to put a little spin on the ball. And as far as cooking, a lot of people on the team know that I'm a pescatarian, and what that is I only eat fish when it comes to flesh.
Okay.
So I like to cook a lot of fish, vegetables, and things like that. And I have a roommate that eats meat, and it's so funny because he always makes fun of me, and I always make fun of him about eating meat. And we always tease each other about the opposite. So yeah, we always in the kitchen cooking for each other and things like that. And I tell him all the time, don't cook me no meat. I'm not about to eat no meat. But I enjoy cooking a lot.
So what would you consider would be your best fish dish?
I would say teriyaki salmon.
Oh, really?
And the way I make it is not just, go buy some teriyaki sauce. I kind of make my own teriyaki sauce, and I can't tell y'all the recipe like that over it.
Oh,
but
trade secret.
But yeah, it's a secret. But my roommate can tell you it's pretty good. So every time I make the sauce, he enjoys it and always, try to get the last bit of it.
Well, it sounds really good. So when you talk about making vegetables and you cook with fish, do you wok things? Do you stir fry? What do you do with your vegetables?
Sometimes I stir fry. I try to stay away from the fry, so I don't want to fry my vegetables or put a lot of butter and stuff like that. So I stir fry it with olive oil or things like that. Or sometimes I just eat it raw. Most of my teammates again see me in meetings eating raw peppers or raw potatoes and stuff, raw sweet potatoes and carrots and stuff like that, and they always look at me weird, like, what's wrong with you? What are you doing? And, they love to make fun of me, but I just do it because I know I got a lot of minerals in the vegetables and stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, Marquise, it's been a hoot to talk to you. I appreciate your candor, and my best to you as you continue your career with the Sioux Falls Storm, and thanks for being on the Curtis Riggs Show.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure, and thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Marquise Rogers, running back with the Sioux Falls Storm. When we go to break, we'll take the third call, 336-1230, 4 free tickets to that game on June 8th against the Iowa Barnstormers, courtesy of Lewis Pharmacies. Get in, get out, feel better. We'll be back right after this.
Fans, join. Your body is a complex arrangement of bone and tissue that requires only the best to maintain it. At Orthopedic Institute, that's our specialty. Our services have been specifically tailored to provide the best orthopedic care in the region. Orthopedics is what we do. That's why Orthopedic Institute is the one to trust to keep your body in motion.
You're listening to the Curtis Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Rosti.
And this segment brought to you by Lewis Pharmacies. Get in, get out, feel better. After we go to break, we'll take your third call, 336-1230, 4 free tickets to the game coming up on June 8th against the Iowa Barnstormers. Don't forget, this week, For the rest of the season, all Storm games are on Kello News Talk, 1320 and FM 107.9. And the pregame show on Friday starts at 6:45. Coming up at 6:55 tonight, Canaries baseball with Carter Wooddeal. And when we come back, we'll be talking to the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm and give us an update about the Green Bay Blizzard. We'll be back right after this.
Breathe easier when you have your ducts cleaned by Waterbury. Call us today.
You're listening to the Curtis Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Rosty.
And this segment brought to you by Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. And they're on 917 South Cliff Avenue. Sliced fresh, baked fresh, made fresh. Come see what fresh really is at Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Curtis Riggs. Green Bay Blizzard. They started off the season and couldn't win a game. Changed coaches. Corey Roberson took over. They've defeated Nebraska twice. What has he done up there that has improved that ball club?
Well, he got out of the power I offense. That definitely helped. And changes personnel around and got guys in that are playing hard for him. You know, he did a nice job of meshing the guys that he kept and the new guys he brought in. And I think, you know, they have a D-line that's really good. Number 15, I mean, that kid, he fights all game long. He plays hard. I think their linebacker, 34, he was fullback with their previous coach, and then he's played DN and now linebacker. I think he does a nice job, and their DBs really fly around. And then offensively, I think moving B.J. Hill to running back is a lot like when we moved James Jones to running back. I mean, anytime he has the ball in his hands, he's a threat to take it for a touchdown, just like anytime you kick it to him, he's a threat to take it for a touchdown.
The guys that you had mentioned, Brandon Bordeaux, Robert Metz, and, of course, B.J. Hill. Coach, bottom line as far as the Green Bay Blizzard Sioux Falls Storm matchup on Friday, what's the key?
Well, the key is just win. I mean, no matter how we do it, just get in there and win. It seems like every time we go there, it's never how you draw it up. You know, we get down, we have to fight to come back, or we get up and we let them back in. And we just have to go in there and get a win. And I don't care how we do it. The guys just need to go in and know that every game is a playoff game now for us.
What time's the bus leave tomorrow?
We're leaving at 10:19 on Thursday. Thursday we're leaving.
Glad you mentioned that Thursday part. I might have missed it. We'll talk to you.
Don't be late, Rich.
Okay.
You never have been. I don't expect you will be.
Thanks a lot, Coach. We'll talk to you again on the bus.
All right. See ya.
He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Curtis Riggs. This segment brought to you by Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. We'll be back to wrap up the Curtis Riggs Show right after this.
Are you?
Hey guys, Bellator lightweight champion Michael Chandler here. I'm here at one of my favorite places in the entire world, the wrestling room. But if there's one thing we know about wrestling rooms, they can get extremely dirty. We're talking skin infections, we're talking about funk, we're talking about smelly armpits, we're talking about all kinds of stuff. So, my friends at Pure and Clean Sports came up with an awesome solution. Spray it right on your skin, wipe it off. Smells great, keeps you clean from the time you leave the mats to the time you can get home and shower. Not only is it the greatest skin defense in the entire world, it's the safest. Check them out, pureandcleansports.com.
Waiting to see a doctor?
What's taking so long?
It can take a while.
I don't have time for this.
Or longer than a while.
We've been here 2 hours.
Forever.
Hello?
What would you say if there was another option?
Finally.
Yes.
It's about time.
We're inclined to agree. It's about time for the best patient care. Sioux Falls Urgent Care.
Back for the final segment of the Curtis Riggs Show. Short tonight. Canaries baseball coming up at 6:55. Carter Wooddeal will have the call for you. Want to thank our sponsors. Also want to thank Boyer Trucks. Missed the broadcast? Check the podcast on the Sioux Falls Storm website. Boyer Ford Trucks, celebrating 30 years of being employee-owned, sales, parts, and service. We keep you moving. Want to thank you to Marquise Rogers for being on the show, the head coach of the Curtis Riggs, and head coach Curtis Riggs, and also John Michaels, our producer and engineer here at the KWSN studio. Want to thank all of you for making the Curtis Riggs Show a part of your day. Again, stay tuned for Canaries baseball right here on KWSN. Good night, everybody.